Welcome and good afternoon. Thank you all for joining the Augment Any Existing Microwave link to multi-gigabit capacities, hassle-free with Intracom Telecom. We are looking forward to an engaging conversation today on exploring how a range of microwave links can have gigabit capacities without forklift of your existing radio, with an easy application of the lightly licensed E-band. If anyone has any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to add them into the chat and they'll be addressed at the end of the presentation. Here to deliver today from Intracom Telecom is George Harlaptis.
Thank you, Dawn, and thanks everybody for joining our webinar. Today we're going to talk about, as Dawn said, the capability of upgrading or augmenting the capacity of existing microwave links that can be from any vendor to multi-gigabit capacities. This webinar can be considered a continuation of a previous webinar that we did with Wincom, and you guys can access it on their channel. So for those of you that may not be familiar with our brand, we're going to take a few moments and talk about Intracom Telecom. And then we're going to talk about what I call the journey to today, the current status of the microwave links in our market. And then next, we're going to think in terms of distance, how we can upgrade microwave links to higher capacities for the specific range of distances considered. And towards the end, we will have a Q&A session that will be controlled by Dawn. So Intracom Telecom, we are a global telecommunication systems and solutions vendor. We have 45 years of experience, 1,700 employees worldwide, 3 R&D centers in Europe, and local presence in 16 countries. Besides the obvious core offering of the wireless network system solutions that you see here, we also have additional offerings such as the Telco Enterprise, which is the IPTV product that is a very popular product out of the Atlanta office where I'm talking from. And we also have smart city and surveillance solutions, as well as energy solutions for the data centers. From this, you can understand that in addition to telecom markets, we also serve utility companies, smart cities, healthcare, as well as the public sector, and even more markets that you see listed here. Let's look at the wireless portfolio, the Intracom Telecom portfolio. As you can see here, there are 2 main bands. We have the point-to-multipoint platform, which is licensed point-to-multipoint products with the base stations as well as the terminals. But the primary interest of this webinar is here, the point-to-point technology. And this is split into the section of the transport as well as the last mile access with 2 subsections, which is the microwave that you see listed here. And this is a portfolio that is being slowly introduced into the North American market. We sell it globally. We're going to start with the Omnibus BX, which is our microwave portfolio, and it will be introduced into the US market very, very soon. In addition to this, we have the millimeter wave portfolio, which is the primary discussion of this webinar, and specifically the Ultralink GX80 that again we discussed in the previous webinar as well. Now, I also want to mention that every single antenna that you see here during the webinar is actually an in-house design by Faini Telecommunications. They built our E-band dual pole as well as universal microwave antennas, and they are a member of the Intracom Telecom group. Let's look at the state of microwave links today. So on the network side, we're all aware, high utilization rates in existing links with little or no space for growth left. On the service side, we got a lot of cases with reduced or downtime in services during peak demand. And another trend that we have seen lately in other parts of the world as well is the fact that there's a push for increased efficiency. The regulators, they are trying to increase the efficiency by giving incentives to use XPIC. In other words, the additional spectrum is not easily available, and they're trying to find different solutions. When it comes down to these issues that we discussed, there are several options considered, but primarily they have to be related to the upgradability of the existing microwave infrastructure. So the primary concept here is you get the additional channels, but of course these come at a higher cost and they may not necessarily be available anyways. The second option is to insert the second radio to increase the capacity, but that again is also not a permanent solution, and it is associated with higher capex as well as opex. What we have seen recently is that the E-band provides a great answer to these problems, 70 and 80 gigahertz for point-to-point, because it can give you the capability of providing gigabit capacity all the way up to 10 gigabits with a low OPEX or license exempt. The specific band, it is also a quality enabler compared to the unlicensed band, not just a capacity enabler. But the main question here is at what link length? We all know that E-band does not behave, I mean, it's because of the physics, it doesn't have the same kind of performance as a microwave link. So we see that a lot of the links deployed out there, they're around 4 miles and probably less than that. But what we have seen in the previous webinar is that the Ultralink GX80, we talked about how it can actually reach 8 miles and even beyond. We got certain cases that will bring them up again, and they show the capability of the link to deliver 9 gigabit capacities and more at 8+ miles. But this is the traditional approach so far, where we consider, hey, E-band is a great answer to all of these issues. Let's take the 1+0 E-band link, and when it does not behave very well because of the weather, because of physics, obviously, you know, we can reroute the priority traffic through the microwave. So this has been the approach so far. This is what we have seen in the market for several years with the introduction of the dual band. And we talked about this in the previous webinar. But what we're going to do now is we're going to introduce a slightly different angle for the same kind of equipment, but this time we're going to consider the microwave first instead of talking about the E-band and how we can reroute the traffic through the microwave. So let's talk about the microwave now and consider any vendor's microwave radio out there. Could it be possible to take that radio from anybody, any vendor out there, and whatever we have, whatever links we have, whatever bands, you know, at 8 miles, can we increase that into 10 gigabit capacity? Could that be a possibility? Well, we believe that it is. And as we said previously, we have the system that can do that, the Ultralink GX80, that can deliver that 10 gigabit capacity very stably. Now, when we think about the solution, we have to consider the target requirements. This is not the same thing as we said with short links, where, you know, it makes sense to want to have a very high availability for your links. But what we have to consider here is a trade-off between the main advantage, which is the capacity increase, and the availability. Do we really need to have strict availability requirements for the capacity beyond the microwaves? Let's think in terms of 1 gigabit capacity that we have for the microwave link and the extra capacity that the E-band can offer. Perhaps 2.5 nines availability may be okay. And again, we're not talking about the link being active or up. We're talking about the 10 gigabit capacity with 2.5% availability. So the main advantage that we're talking about here is an increase between 10 to 20-fold in the capacity with only the lightly licensed cost of E-band. So we're not increasing that difficult to get, in a lot of cases, microwave channel. We are taking the lightly licensed E-band. We're increasing that microwave capacity from, let's say, 1 gigabit to 10 gigabits. That's your tenfold increase. But we have also seen that there's a lot of microwave links out there that are having capacity around 500 megabits. So that's a 20-fold increase. So do we really need to be so strict about those extra capacities that will come at a much lower cost as far as the OpEx is concerned with a lightly licensed cost of E-band? A lot of people may consider, a lot of companies may consider that this is something that it is worth looking into it. So the Ultralink GX80, as we said in the previous webinar, has the highest system gain in the market at 10 gigabits. This is the sketch that you see here at 70.6, representing the system gain at 10 gigabits. There are several advantages associated with this. I get this question all the time. What does that mean, the highest system gain at 10 gigabits? Well, first of all, you get longer link distances, right? You will go much further. And the Ultralink GX80 has proven that we can rethink in terms of distance what is capable to be delivered capacity-wise and reliability-wise with E-band. You get a lot more robust links during weather anomalies. The capacity will be a lot more stable, and it's not going to drop from 128 QAM down to 64 QAM that easily. Then you also have the better link reliability because that link will be active much longer. Now, there's also savings on the CapEx, and when you have the highest system gain in the market, you can consider that you can get the savings on the product itself, specifically the antennas, because when you have that extra system gain, whatever you were doing before with a 2-foot antenna, perhaps you can do with 1-foot antenna. And we have seen that with the Ultralink GX80. We can do that. That automatically translates into a smaller rental space on the tower. So that's extra savings right there from the smaller antenna, the 1-foot compared to the 2-foot with with the competition's radio. And once you do that, the alignment will be easier, right? You get a smaller antenna, easier to align, and you can have a better stability on the pole as well. There's going to be less swaying there because of wind and all these issues associated with a larger antenna. Now, there are a couple of very good cases that we discussed in the previous webinar as well that show the Ultralink GX80's capability. And this is ViaNet, where we were able to deliver 9 gigabits at 7 miles, where the link was 50% over lake water. So ViaNet is a service provider in Ontario in Canada, and they're a full service provider for internet, telephony, TV, as well as business solutions. So ViaNet was having some issues with an 18 gigahertz link that got maxed out, and they were not able to get from the regulator the additional channel. So they talked to us. The link was, 11 kilometers, 7 miles. That was a significant distance, but they talked to us, and we were able to achieve the great performance of delivering 9 gigabits very stably, by the way, over that distance. And again, 50% of the link was over lake water. Now, what they did is they used routing protocols to reroute the priority traffic from the Ultralink GX80 in case of adverse weather conditions. And that link has been out there for over a year now with incredible stability. Another very important case closer to home here, rainy Florida, Rapid Systems. This one is at beyond 8 miles. So Rapid Systems is another internet service provider out of Tampa, Florida. They deliver internet and IT services in 11 counties in Florida. Same situation, they had an existing 11 gigahertz link, and the capacity was not sufficient. So they talked to us about what can be done, and we were able to deliver the 9 gigabit capacity, and sometimes even more, with the introduction of the overbuild solution, which is what we described before, the concept that everything runs through the Ultralink GX80 at the 10 gigabit capacity, and when there's an issue with the weather, the priority traffic is rerouted through the existing microwave. So this case as well has been out there very stably for over a year. Those cases are great references where, as we said in the previous webinar, they demonstrate the fact that the Ultralink GX80 is the market leader when it comes down to delivery of high capacity services at even 8 miles with E-band. Now, let's look next what we can consider as far as the distance that we can have this upgradability. It sounds great. Ultralink GX80 can do that. Now, when we start thinking in terms of the microwave link and what is possible to do starting from the microwave, we can consider the different availabilities that we can explore this possibility. Cutting it off at the 2 nines, I think that we can consider this the lowest availability to be considered, but we can go all the way to 3 nines. So 2 to 3 nines, I think it's a good range where we can see that in action. And what you see in this graph is the 3 different colored lines representing in blue the Ultralink GX80 system gain, the 70.6 dB system gain at 10 gigabits that I mentioned. And the other 2 colored lines, the red one as well as the gray, they represent the other 2 categories of system gain that we have seen in the market, representing categories of our competitors. So 64 and 57, the blue one, the Ultralink GX80 system gain. And what you see is at the lowest availability of the 2 nines, again, this is only for the 10 gigabit capacity, you see the difference as far as the distance is concerned. So from 7.5 to 10 miles over here at the 2 nines availability, the red line, it has a delta between a delta with the Ultralink GX80 of about 2.5 miles. When you consider the lowest system gain, you can see that delta being about 5 miles. Now, the sweet spot that somebody can consider for this application, the cost-effective increase of the microwave capacity to multi-gigabit, could be this one, because we have, we have demonstrated that the system can do it. So 8 miles, you see around 2.5 nines. This may be something that can be considered. Of course, if you if you don't mind the fact that the 10 gigabit capacity may not be available a couple of days out of the year, you can even lower that availability closer to the 2 nines. Again, because it makes sense that you're paying a lot less with the introduction of the E-band compared to paying for the microwave channel. So this is for the 42 millimeter per hour rain rate as a representative rain rate, but things can also look a lot better if you take a lower rain rate, where there are several states that you can deploy links with this type of rain rate at 22 or close to 22. So for this one, you can see the distance, of course, improves, and where we had the I'm going to switch back to this. So the maximum of 10 with a 10 miles with the Ultralink GX80 over here. When you switch to the 22, you see it goes even further than that to almost 11. And what you see here is that the sweet spot that we talked about for 8 miles can now be closer to 99, more than 99.7 percentage availability. So again, this is for the 10 gigabit capacity. So you're getting, the lower the rain rate, you get a better performance of the system. But then again, it doesn't necessarily have to be at 8. There are several ranges over here that can be considered for the availability with respect to the distance. And it all makes sense to consider this exercise because, again, this has to do with the scarcity of the microwave channel as well as the cost associated with it that can be compared to a much lower cost to register the link for E-band, and that's why we call it lightly licensed. Now, what are the steps and how do we do this no forklift concept? I'm going to walk you through the 3 easy steps that we have, how to implement this. So what you see here on the right is the existing microwave link that, for the sake of the example, it can be at 1 gigabit at, let's say, 8 miles. Again, I'm going to stress again that this can be at different bands. Anything that is, let's say, at 8 miles or even 9 miles, if you want to consider the different availabilities, then you got several bands. It could be your 6 gigahertz, it could be your 11, 18, anything at 8 miles or even 9 miles. So this is your existing microwave, and the current state that we have described. It could be maxed out capacity or close to it, with this increasing demand that we have. So the next step is we're installing the Ultralink GX80 in parallel. So you do not touch your existing microwave antenna. It is built on top of it. And the driver behind this augmentation, of course, is the Ultralink GX80, because that fundamentally drives the link to the 10 gigabit capacity. Of course, none of that would happen if we didn't have the Ultralink GX80 system gain that happens to be the fundamental driver behind this performance and the whole concept of the augmentation of capacity. In the third step of the no forklift concept, you see that we're interconnecting the microwave, the third-party microwave, with the GX80 over here. And there are 2 modes of operation that are available in the system. So the static mode that I list here is basically the concept of having the RLA traffic portion sent to the microwave radio, but it is defined by a configurable parameter on the Ultralink GX80. So you set it, in other words. That's why the mode is static. The second option is the dynamic mode of operation, where the RLA traffic is distributed to the microwave radio. It continuously adjusted by the RLA process, hence the dynamic concept behind it. Now, does Intracom Telecom only have this case of the no forklift approach? No. We have complete agnostic solution platforms for the microwave, and it can be any licensed or unlicensed vendor. The solutions are in-house, and they cover both the brownfield that we discussed. And again, it doesn't have to be always in parallel. It can be a 1+0 depending on your needs. It can be in parallel with the solution that we described, or we can have a single dual band antenna option where both the third-party microwave as well as the Ultralink GX80, they are installed on a single dual band antenna. This is what we call the greenfield, and you will notice here the asterisk for the flange cassette. The reason for that is because we have to build a custom cassette to make sure that the third-party microwave integrates with our dual band antenna. We're not using any flex twist guides. We are custom building the, we built some of those, and depending on the case that you have, we can custom build that particular cassette so that the third-party microwave can integrate onto our dual band antenna. This is the case that I'm talking about, the dual band antenna for the MBL, and this is the part where the Ultralink GX80 goes, and this is the cassette for the third-party microwave, right? And you can see also here in the case of the dual band option, how they interface the radio, the Ultralink GX80, and the second part, it could be multiple radios from the third-party vendor. The whole concept here is that because you're using one antenna instead of two, you get a 50% reduction on your logistics and handling, the required space on the pole, as well as the installation and alignment time. So this is a pretty significant case because you don't have to align two antennas. So these are pretty good savings right there. The heart of the solution has always been our modem. We have decided a long time ago that we wanted to create our own modem platform and customize it according to every single product that we are delivering. So what you will see here is the performance of the E-band that goes all the way up to 1024 QAM for the E-band. Highest spectral efficiency at 80 gigahertz, we can deliver 256 QAM at 2000 megahertz channel. A few things about the highlights of the product. You can see the actual unit, the Ultralink GX80, as well as the ports on it. As you can see, it's an embedded switch with multiple ports. We can deliver channels up to 1500 or 2000 megahertz with different configurations such as XPIC, RLA, dual band with our microwave radio, as I mentioned, as well as the third-party microwave radios. I didn't mention the 1024, so it starts from port 1 to 1024, and it can deliver the highest system gain, as you can see in this red circle, 70.6 to be exact, at 10 gigabits at 100. The system has full capabilities on the Ethernet networking with several protocols to assist with your Ethernet networking needs, OAM, quality of service, packet synchronization, transparent clock, boundary clock. It even supports CPRI as well as eCPRI on one unit. I also want to mention that we have the integrated radio link monitoring tool. This is a licensed feature that we have, and it's very helpful because it provides you with the capability of having a spectrum analyzer to monitor the frequencies around it. Very helpful during the installation or during the maintenance of the link. However, on top of that, it provides you with notifications when there is a slow or fast fading during the operation of the link. So very useful to take action to help you with the stability of the link. Last but not least, I want to mention the capabilities of the platform to support IP/MPLS. So if you want to extend IP/MPLS towards the edge, you can do that with the Ultralink GX80. You can also provide a range of services such as layer 2 VPN, layer 3 VPN. You can improve your bandwidth utilization, end-to-end quality of service, as well as you can identify fault detection very easily with this platform. Now, our trial program, as you know, we're working with Wincom, and if you're interested in any of our solutions for the point-to-point, this augmentation that I mentioned with a microwave, we'll be more than happy to assist you. The way the process works is that you can identify the site details. We're going to work with Wincom together, and we will engineer the right solutions for you. We collectively define the success criteria of the trial, and you have guaranteed support from both Wincom as well as us during the implementation. Dawn, that's it as far as the product goes. I don't know if we have any questions you want to take over from here.
Sure, we have a few questions. One, can you please clarify how the RLA process works with regards to the dynamic mode?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what we do is there are two subsections in both the dynamic as well as the static mode, but what there, and I'll be more than happy to provide you with additional info when you send me an email. You have my contact here as well as the email, as you can see on the screen. But the idea is the following: we are using two very easily available protocols that are supported for the most part by any vendor out there. They're link loss forwarding protocols as well as pause frames. So the combination of these two, they help us deliver the RLA with a third-party microwave. Next question, please.
Wonderful. Do you have dual polarity or XPIC capabilities for more throughput capacity, meaning 2 GX80 behind one antenna?
Yes, we have that option. Again, I'll be more than happy to provide more info. You guys can contact also the marketing email at Wincom, and we will provide you together more information on that. Yes, XPIC is supported by the GX80 platform, and we have the XPIC antennas, the dual pole antennas, and it works great with the system. Yep.
Perfect.
Next question, please.
Is the 8 miles performance shown applicable everywhere?
That's a good question. So the idea here is that we provided a few rain rate examples, 22 as well as 42. But in order to be exact, we have to look at the specific location where you're considering the deployment. We have to capture the exact location to identify the rain rate in more detail. We'll run together with Wincom an RF planning study, and it should work. We haven't seen any rain rate within the continental United States that creates a problem. I think even beyond that, it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, we'll be more than happy to confirm that with the rain rate at the location where you want to deploy it.
Okay. Can older microwave radios work with this solution?
Yes, the idea, as I mentioned, is that those protocols, they're easily supported by. We haven't seen anybody that does not support the so far the link loss forwarding as well as the pause frames. But just to be sure, if you want, send us a Wincom, send Wincom as well as myself here at Intracom a copy of the data sheet that you want to have this considered, and we'll be more than happy to confirm the applicability of those protocols, that they are supported by the third-party microwave, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. I have a 5 gigahertz link at 4.5 miles. Could a GX80 failover work?
Yes, this failover is primarily what I described in the previous webinar with Wincom. This is the concept of the switchover of traffic towards the third-party microwave with the use of the G8032 ring protocol. Yeah, it should work. If the again, we'll be more than happy to check the unlicensed band link the radio for you to confirm the support. But the concept that we are introducing with this webinar, the RLA concept, is a much easier and much more widely supported by the third-party microwave. So the two protocols that I mentioned, they're a lot easier to be found on the radios, and are much easier to implement during the actual installation of the solution. So yes, it does work. It should work. We can confirm with you, but the RLA that I mentioned is a much easier solution, and it's a lot, I think it's a lot better, and it has great performance when you can see the dynamic allocation of bandwidth between the GX80 and the microwave.
Okay, great. Well, we have just one last question. Is this upgrade available in stock?
Yes, Wincom does have the Ultralink GX80, and yeah, just let us know. We'll run the site survey. I mean, the actual path survey for the link. Send us a location. We'll do that for you. We will identify the criteria of the success for the trial together. And yeah, the radios are available with Wincom, and we can do it.